Hi all, I want to respond to a video that NASA made. It was some years back, but I think it's about time somebody made a response to NASA. So here we go.
Hi, my name is David Morrison. I'm a NASA space scientist, and I want to talk to you very briefly about Nibiru. I'm doing this because I received a note from a 12-year-old girl recently that said she wondered if the video I made 2 years ago was still valid, that she and her classmates were scared about Nibiru, and could I please explain, from a science point of view, why we know Nibiru is not real and is not a danger. You know, the simplest thing to say is just that there is no credible evidence whatever for the existence of Nibiru. There are no pictures, there's no tracking, there's no astronomical observations. In fact, the origin of the name is a little weird. Nibiru was a minor god in the Babylonian pantheon, probably associated with Jupiter. There's no record that they ever thought of it as a planet. Sometimes we talk about planet X, but that's a strange term too, because astronomers say planet X for an object that has not been found, a possible object, like Pluto. When it was being searched for, it was called planet X. Once it was found, it became Pluto. So it really isn't any evidence here to counter, but I can quite specifically say how we know that Nibiru, or planet X, does not exist and does not threaten the Earth. First, if there were a planet headed into the inner solar system that was going to come close to the Earth in December of 2012, it would already be inside the orbit of Mars. It would be bright. It would be easily visible to the naked eye. If it were up there, you could see it. All of us could see it. And the crazy thing is people who say they are observing it but never tell us where to look so we can verify. Well, it doesn't take an astronomer to say that there's no bright object up there that's appeared in the night sky and is headed for Earth. Second, if Nibiru were real and it were a planet with a substantial mass, then it would already be perturbing the orbits of Mars and the Earth. We would see changes in those orbits due to this rogue object coming into the inner solar system. Astronomers measure the orbit of Earth and Mars precisely and frequently, and there has been no change whatever. Third, and perhaps most telling, if this object had come through the solar system in the past, and you remember the idea is it's on an orbit of 3,600 years. If it had come through in the past, its gravity would have messed up the orbits of the inner planets. The Earth, Venus, Mars, probably would have stripped the moon away completely. Instead, in the inner solar system, we see planets with stable orbits. We see the moon going around the Earth. The very existence of this stability in the inner solar system proves that no rogue planet, no interfering object has come through the inner solar system in at least 1 million years. So it's not real. Nibiru doesn't exist. We can't see it. We can't detect its gravity. And we don't see a signature of its previous passages because there weren't any. Now, some people change the story around and say, well, Nibiru isn't even a planet. It's a brown dwarf with planets going around it, or something like that. Everything I've said would be worse with a massive object like a brown dwarf. That would have been tracked by astronomers for a decade or more, and it would already have really affected planetary orbits. So please, get over it. Nibiru isn't real. Planet X isn't real. We don't have to worry about this hoax.
Well, that was a lot of BS. So let's go down the list and let's make a case for Nibiru. Let's look at the evidence. Okay, first of all, the whole Nibiru thing is based on the ancient Sumerian text. All you have to do is look at the cylinder seals. Let's talk about that cylinder seal, the very famous one that Zechariah Sitchin is holding up. The planets revolve around the sun. How did they know that 6,000 years ago when most people only figured it out 300 years ago? Let's talk about The fact that they knew about the complete solar system. How did they know that 6,000 years ago? They had the solar system in the correct order and the correct sizes on that cylinder seal. Uranus was discovered by a telescope in 1781, but they did not see the color of Uranus until 1986. But the ancient Sumerian texts, written over 6,000 years ago, described Uranus as a bright green twin of Neptune, and Neptune also a bright bluish green. Um, let's see. Also describes Saturn as having rings. How did they know that 6,000 years ago? They described the hammered bracelet. How did they know about the asteroid belt? They discussed black holes. How did they know about black holes 6,000 years ago? And how did they know that Earth was the seventh planet, counting backwards, counting in toward the solar system? But let's look at some more evidence. He said that if it was coming through the solar system, there would be changes in our Earth. Um, well, first of all, there have been changes. Let's look at the science. Well, now that we've looked at some evidence, let's look at some more. He also said that the astronomers would have noticed it. Did astronomers notice it?
Welcome to SLU. You're going to have a great deal of fun. The community, SLU community is a fabulous place to hang out. If this is the kind of stuff that you're interested in. Now then, let's have a look at these live feeds. So this is coming from the new SLU solar telescope, which is just behind me. So what we're looking at here is the big orange thing is a star. It's our sun. And just kind of in the center of the sun, you can see a couple of little dark patches. Now, those are actually sunspots. That's not Mercury. The little dark spot down at the bottom, just above where it says from, is actually a little piece of dust on one of the optics. So that won't move anywhere. But the two above are dark solar sunspots. And Mercury is just to the right, about the 2 o'clock, 1:30 position on that top right edge of the sun. Now, can you see that mysterious glow in the right-hand side? What do you reckon that is? Use @SLU, tweet us at @SLU. Do you think it's the mysterious planet Nibiru, maybe appearing in these live shots, you know? So we don't cover stuff up like NASA does.
Well, there's one American astronomer who is honest enough to come forward and talk about it. At least I'm assuming he's an American astronomer. But what about other countries who don't hide the evidence? Let's take a look at some of that.
На небе появился новый объект, слабая красноватая точка. Пока ее наблюдают только астрономы, но уже к маю 2011 года ее можно будет увидеть и невооруженным глазом. Это темная планета, она же Нибиру, таинственная часть нашей Солнечной системы. Вероятность ее существования НАСА признала лишь в 1982 году, при том, что шумеры еще 5000 лет назад уже называли ее крылатым диском и утверждали, что появление Нибиру на небосклоне сулит одни неприятности. Какие именно, выяснил Александр Огородников.
Может ли небо упасть на Землю? Вопрос уже не актуальный. Прогрессивное человечество ждет более грандиозного события – падения на Землю другой планеты. Конечно, не в прямом смысле слова, но планета Нибиру подлетит к нам так близко, что последствия могут быть катастрофическими. Дело в том, что Нибиру, или как еще ее называют планета X, гораздо крупнее Земли, а значит ее гравитационное поле гораздо сильнее. Его разрушительное влияние мы почувствуем в конце 2012 года, когда сближение будет максимальным. Как следствие, изменение наклона нашей планеты, а соответственно и полюсов. Глобальное похолодание там, где сейчас тепло, и очередной всемирный потоп. 2/3 населения нашей планеты попросту погибнет. Согласно одной из теорий, Нибиру – это планета богов. В древних текстах их еще называли Анунаки, то есть сошедшие с небес.
Раз в 3600 лет она якобы появляется, приближается к Солнечной системе, к Земле.
Согласно некоторым расчетам, к 2011 году темную планету будет видно даже невооруженным глазом, а 21 декабря 2012 года Нибиру пролетит мимо Земли и засияет на нашем небосклоне яркой красной звездой, словно второе Солнце. Кстати, по случайному ли совпадению или нет, но именно в этот день заканчивает...
Про неї знали ще стародавні шумери. Про неї знає і НАСА. Та на уроках астрономії ви не почуєте про неї ані слова. Колись вона вже була тут. Існування невідомої планети забороняють говорити вголос. Нібіру. Ліпше запам'ятати назву цього світила, бо вона наближається. У 72-му році Джозеф Брейді з Каліфорнійського університету помітив, що якась невідома планета викликає гравітаційне безладдя орбіти комети Галлея. Розрахунки астронома показали, що вона в 5 разів масивніша за Землю. Та цю інформацію швидко прикрили, пославшись на похибки дослідницького апарату. Тривалий час дослідники НАСА замовчували відомості про Нібіру. Усю інформацію про неї суворо оберігають і не піддають розголосу. Повторення всесвітнього потопу. Це станеться, якщо Нібіру пройде над одним із полюсів. Крига розтане, і спасіння тонучих – справа рук самих потопельників. Інформацію про Нібіру і досі замовчують. Жодної програми, жодного документального фільму. НАСА не публікує результатів своїх досліджень. Та зараз мовчати вже немає сенсу. І відомості про червону планету спливають на поверхню. А в травні 2012-го її побачать усі неозброєним оком. У вересні того ж року Нібіра буде схожа на друге сонце, тільки червоного кольору. Та найгірше чекає на нас у грудні 2012-го, коли Нібіру наблизиться до Землі на ризиковану дистанцію.
Небесное тело, превышающее размеры Земли в 5 раз, пройдет по орбите в опасной близости от нашей планеты. Сила его притяжения будет настолько мощной, что Земля может поменять наклон. Если это случится, то изменившаяся ось вызовет смену магнитных полюсов. И тогда на планету обрушатся невиданные силы наводнения и извержения вулкана, сметающие все на своем пути смерчи и землетрясения. Это Захарий Ситчин, знаменитый американский ученый. В 1978 году Ситчин делает сенсационное заявление. В Солнечной системе вовсе не 9 планет, как считает официальная наука, а 10. По утверждению ученого, кроме всем известных планет, существует еще одна – Нибиру. Она блуждает в космосе по невероятно вытянутой орбите и проходит через Солнечную систему раз в 3600 лет. К теории Захария Ситчина в научном сообществе отнеслись с недоверием. Астрономы не могли поверить в то, чего не видно в космическом пространстве даже в самые мощные телескопы. Однако уже в начале 80-х, после длительных математических вычислений и построения компьютерных моделей, существование планеты Нибиру было доказано.
В 1982 году НАСА допустило существование большой планеты, которой впоследствии было дано название Нибиру.
В 2005 году американские астрофизики заявили, что на расстоянии приблизительно в 1 световой год от Земли располагается огромное космическое тело. Но главное, на огромной скорости оно приближается к нашей планете. Небесное тело настолько темное, что ни оптические телескопы, ни другие приборы не в состоянии его увидеть. Зафиксировать загадочный космический объект ученые смогли лишь 2 года назад, когда на земную орбиту вышел новый сверхмощный инфракрасный телескоп. То, что увидели астрономы на расшифрованных снимках, сделанных с телескопа, надолго повергло их в шок. В черной пустоте космического пространства четко угадывались очертания огромной планеты. Сомнений уже не оставалось. Это Нибиру.
Инфракрасный спутник, который действительно засек объект достаточно больших размеров, и ему удалось этот объект не только засечь, но и как-то зафиксировать, сфотографировать.
После изучения параметров и траектории движения гигантской планеты, ученые пришли к неутешительному выводу. Нибиру больше Земли в 5 раз. Но самое страшное, через 3 года она может пролететь в нескольких сотнях километров от Земли. Находясь так близко к нашей планете, она запросто сможет сорвать с нее атмосферу. Ученые выяснили, что однажды Нибиру уже погубила другую планету. Оказалось, что 16 миллионов лет назад в нашей Солнечной системе существовала планета Фаэтон. Она располагалась между Марсом и Юпитером. Теперь на ее месте пояс астероидов. Ученые считают этот пояс не что иное, как осколки древней планеты. По словам астрофизиков, скорее всего, Нибиру столкнулась с Фаэтоном, когда она в очередной раз проходила через Солнечную систему. После такого удара планета разлетелась на куски. По словам ученых, правительство просто скрывает от человечества правду, чтобы не вызывать панику.
Представители всех военных разведок мира эту информацию о том, что Нибиру может принести значительный ущерб, урон, разрушение и даже гибель жителей Земли.
Now, if you watch that news clip closely, you'll notice that it spans from 2011 all the way to the present day, because Russia's not hiding it, China's not hiding it, but in America, it's being hidden. We all know why. NASA doesn't want to talk about it. The United States government doesn't want to talk about anything that has to do with extraterrestrials. But for some reason, you know, the land of the free, this knowledge is being suppressed very, very much by our own government, which is sad, and very, very much by NASA, which our tax dollars pay for. But if you remember, Nibiru was first seen coming down underneath our planet in Antarctica around 2012, 2011, 2012. That's when the pictures first started appearing. it made its long elliptical orbit around the sun between the space of Mars and Jupiter. And as it went around the sun, more and more people saw it, more and more people photographed it. Um, on my channel, we've been discussing it for months and months and months and months. But let's look at some more evidence.
Still, actually, I have just heard that we have now lost Dubai. You saw Dubai get darker and darker, and that was just the sun setting. Here we are with the live views from the solar telescope just behind me. It's what SLU members are going to watch every single day from now on. And you can see there the sun is on the left. You can see the small black dot, which is just to the right of center of the sun. That is the tiny orb of Mercury. Mercury, you now know so many interesting and fascinating facts from SLU astronomer Bob Berman. You'll be able to tell all your friends. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is that large round thing to the right of the sun? Well, that's our second sun. I don't know if you knew that we had a second sun, but there it is. It's normally hidden from view. NASA and other organizations, they usually hide that stuff away from us. They don't tell us the truth, but you know, there it is. It's true.
So if seeing it on a telescope isn't good enough for you, let's look at it through the eyes of Russian jet fighters who also filmed. And now let's talk about the revelation that occurred just recently about the discovery of Planet 9 and how that changes things.
Is that numerous features of the Kuiper Belt, a field of icy debris beyond the orbit of Neptune, can be understood if the solar system possesses an additional ninth planet that resides well beyond the orbits of the known planets.
When we looked at the outer solar system, we realized that while most of the very distant objects, these objects beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, most of these objects, they all go around the sun and they're all sort of pointing off in all different directions. But the most distant objects all swing out in one direction in a very strange way that shouldn't happen. And we realized that the only way we could get them to all swing in one direction is if there is a massive planet also very distant in the solar system, keeping them in place while they all go around the sun. And we started looking at this and thinking, this must be either a coincidence or it's caused by something else. It can't be caused by a planet because that's crazy. There are no planets out there. I went from trying very hard to be skeptical that what we were talking about was true to suddenly thinking, oh, this actually might even be true.
So the object itself likely is more massive than the Earth, probably a little bit less massive than Neptune. It sits right in between that terrestrial to giant icy planet range. Its orbit, unlike the orbits of the known planets, is not nearly circular and planar. Instead, it is exceptionally wide, 20 times bigger than the orbit of Neptune. The orbital period of the Earth is, of course, 1 year. Right? The orbital period of Jupiter, the big player in our solar system, is about 10 years. The orbital period of this putative ninth planet is 20,000 years.
We have nothing like it in the solar system, so it's new for us. It is, however, the most common mass of planets that have been found around all of the other stars. People have always looked at all these other planets in this strange mass range and said, wow, I wonder what these are. I don't know what these are because we don't have anything like it in the solar system. Looks like maybe we do. There are many telescopes on the Earth that actually have a chance of being able to find it. And I think that many people will be inspired to use their telescopes. I'm really hoping that as we announce this, people start a worldwide search to go find this ninth planet.
History shows us that it's a bad idea to consistently say we have now reached the end of the solar system. And
thousands of years ago, the sky gazers of the classical world knew about 6 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Thanks to the invention of the telescope, Uranus was discovered in 1781. But discrepancies in its orbit meant that something was tugging at it. Sure enough, that something turned out to be Neptune. Ever since, scientists have wondered if there might be yet another planet in our solar system, sometimes called Planet X. Now, astronomers have strong evidence for one. A planet roughly the size of Neptune, with a mass 10 times the Earth's, and a thick atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. Just as Neptune was predicted based on its influence on Uranus, the evidence for Planet X is indirect. Astronomers observe 6 small solar system objects and notice they come closest to the Sun in a unique configuration. There's only a 1 in 15,000 chance that this orbital clustering is a coincidence. It is much more likely that Planet X has shepherded the 6 objects into their orbits. This explodes our conception of the solar system, because Planet X would loop around the Sun unimaginably far away in a strange elliptical orbit, so far away that it takes 15,000 years to make the trip. By comparison, Neptune's orbital period is 165 years. Of course, not everyone will be convinced of Planet X until we have visual proof. Researchers are now using one of the world's largest telescopes, Nibiru, in Hawaii, and they say they have a reasonable chance of finding Planet X in the next 5 years. Once spotted, we can welcome Planet X as the 9th planet in our solar system.
But what does NASA say about the discovery of Planet 9? Very interesting.
Jim Green, Director of Planetary Science at NASA. You know, NASA works with the international science community to explore our solar system and beyond. We look to unravel the mysteries that intrigue us all as we explore and answer the big questions. Questions like, how did the Earth originate and change over time? How did the solar system begin and evolve? And what will be its destiny? What will be our destiny? Last July 14th, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew past Pluto, capping a half-century of exploration of our solar system. It piqued our interest about what lies beyond Pluto and what can we learn about ourselves and the origins of our solar system. The idea of a new planet is certainly an exciting one for me as a planetary scientist, and I think for all of us. The January 20th paper in the Astronomical Journal is fueling our interest in planetary exploration and stimulating a healthy debate that's part of the scientific process. I couldn't be more pleased about what's happening. You know, it's all about starting the process that could lead to an exciting result. It is not, however, the detection of a new planet. It's too early to say with certainty that there's a so-called Planet X out there. What we're really seeing is an early prediction based on modeling from limited observations. What's exciting is that, like NASA's journey to Mars or New Horizons flyby of Pluto, you will have a front row seat to see how the scientific process unfolds. Theories like this serve to stimulate ideas and conversation. They tap into our innate curiosity. It's important for us to continue to work, and we will. Anytime we have an interesting idea like this, we always apply Carl Sagan's rules for critical thinking, which include independent confirmation of the facts, looking for alternate explanations, and encouraging scientific debate. If Planet X is out there, we'll find it together. Or we'll determine an alternate explanation for the data that we've received so far. Now, let's go explore.
NASA, they're so full of it, but they make great propaganda videos. I have to admit that. But anyway, you might be wondering why they're so negative about the recent events about the whole Planet 9. Well, there's been some updates from that. Not only have they done more math, more equations, but they've also found that there could be possible orbits of other objects out there. Let's look at that evidence. Well, guys, the evidence just keeps piling up and piling up. I don't know why NASA won't tell us the truth. Don't know why the government won't tell us the truth. But it is what it is. We'll just keep searching for the evidence. We'll keep researching the Nibiru system. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you liked it even a little bit more, hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you later. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.